Hello and welcome to the latest in Enlit Asia's interview series. Today I'm delighted to be joined by one of our advisory board members, Narsingh Chaudhary. Narsingh is Executive Vice President and Managing Director of the Asian Power Business at Black Veatch. Narsingh, thank you very much for speaking with me today.
Thank you, Simon. It's a pleasure to talking to you, and I know we have been planning to meet for a long time, so it's good to see your face.
Yes, nice to put a face to a name. Part of the reason that we're not doing this face-to-face is obviously the ongoing COVID pandemic. There's been a lot of reports on the negative impact of COVID pandemic on the power sector here in Asia and obviously globally. But what opportunities do you see the pandemic or COVID, this situation having presented for the regional power sector?
I think there are a couple of them. The first and foremost is people have realized the power of working remotely. Being able to address not only ongoing projects, but being able to support your customers, technology, and whether it's being engineering or maybe remote support on commissioning and other things. I give you an example. We have a project in Indonesia where the TFAs or the commissioning supports from the OEMs were not able to travel, and for the first time, we use video conferencing to do the pre-commissioning checks. So the OEM sitting in Tokyo and our engineers sitting at site, they were able to use various video conferencing platforms. So, some of this stuff was unheard of in the earlier phase of the industrial, the way the projects were handled. Another example was we had some training to be given to some of our customers. And in the past, people used to travel from different countries to participate in this, either the trainers or the learners. And we have conducted very successfully such training. So this is one of the biggest plus points where people have started realizing to reduce travel time and being able to continue work. The big aspect is personal and social safety, right? I think one of the challenges that we used to see in Asia was the safety aspect across our various projects was not given the highest attention, and I think COVID-19 has brought in additional sense of what I would call safety, not only for yourselves but also caring for your community and where you're working. And this we can see how people started reacting to it initially, and slowly people started looking at it. Hey, I need to be safe, and I need to keep everybody. The third one was, now if we have to hire some resources, in the past, trying to see where the person is located, can they be in one of our offices, used to be a big challenge, and sometimes you used to skip on resources just because they were in locations where you don't have an office. And this is opening a new dimension altogether. We are starting to look at having a certain percentage of workforce having the flexibility of never coming back to the office and being able to work remotely.
That's interesting. There's been an awful lot of talk about the impact of this ongoing situation on the energy transition. Some saying that it's going to be a positive thing. We're seeing increased penetration from renewable energies, certainly in Europe. Others saying that this is going to be the death knell for the energy transition, with the focus being very much on economic growth. What do you think the impact of this on the energy transition in the Southeast Asia region is?
I think the energy transition is definitely going to happen. I mean, as we know, close to 500 million people do not have reliable power in Asia. And the pandemic has showed that more than ever that you need power to be able to give good health care and fast health care, whenever such a pandemic breaks out. So the government will be under tremendous pressure, and there is opportunity for the energy sector to do this as fast as possible. Now, having said that, we know that in Asia, coal has been the predominant, source for energy.
Sure.
With most corporates and governments starting to, phase out slowly, not give up, but phase out slowly coal, this definitely opens a lot of opportunities for renewables. Now, if the only barrier to this is Asia is, despite this huge opportunity, there are a lot of government regulations, and there are not enough I would say, incentives for the financial sector or for the various, power producers to go out there and invest in renewables. And it's not just about the financial support, but getting fast approval and getting, PPAs being able to develop them quickly and being able to develop those projects. So the energy transition is definitely going to happen. I think with the investments that we are seeing in the region, the conventional generation, which requires large capex, is actually taking the beating after the pandemic, because most of those were either straight run or requires huge capital investment. However, the renewable one, which you could go from a very small scale to mid scale, we see some decent projects still happening there.
Okay.
So I don't think the energy transition should take a beating. In fact, it should accelerate.
Great. Okay. Perhaps beyond the energy transition, what long-term impacts, if any, do you expect this crisis to have on the regional energy sector? We've perhaps touched on a couple in the first question. Are there any others that you foresee?
I think, in my personal opinion, I see two. One, I'm looking at some of the state utilities. Their attention is towards supporting the government based on the financial constraints which many of these governments in the region will face. And we are seeing this in some of the countries, without naming them, where the government has gone on record asking the various utilities, including the electricity utility, to ensure that they don't go for capex expansion in new projects. However, various independent power producers, they will be the one who will have the opportunity now to play a bigger role with the incentive and support from the government. So I think this is this one. The second one is the power sector or the energy industry has been laggard in terms of using technology. I mean, if you just look at the way the power sector as compared to the manufacturing sector, the use of technology has been to the bare minimum. It has been a very human intensive involvement on not only building projects but also managing those. So I think something which people have started realizing, that hey, if such a situation arises where your workforce is not able to return back to work, how can you continue to run your operations? So I think there's a second big impact which Asia will start seeing as embracing technology to not only run their ongoing new project development, but also manage during the operation phase.
Okay. Looking forward then to the next 5 years, hopefully beyond this ongoing COVID situation we find ourselves in now, what are the three trends that you see impacting the industry most over the next 5 years, and how is Black & Veatch aligning to capitalize on these?
So 5 years too long a time, Simon. I think the big changes we'll see in the next 2 years.
Okay.
Short term and mid term. In the short term, we will see some shrinking of investment, which could happen maybe as the economy takes a beating in most of the places, as I said. But still, the demand is there, so there will be still projects coming up. However, in the midterm, the pent-up demand which is there with respect to the GDP growth or the aspirations of the people, this will suddenly take a very high accelerated growth track path. And Black & Veatch is preparing itself to be able to guide the industry and be able to support across all aspects of not just conventional generation, but renewable, and being able to transmit this and do the last mile distribution. The other challenge has been because the focus has not been towards getting affordable power to the remotest areas. I think that's another area where we need to come out with solutions like microgrids and all this thing, and ensure that the remotest part of Asia and the 500 million population, which I mentioned earlier, is probably those people where it does not make economical sense to put large power plants there. So the microgrid solution would be a ideal fit to give the kind of power reliability which those locations need, as well as the same time ensure that commercially it's viable. So we are preparing ourselves. We have gone through a major transition in Asia with respect to how we have set up our business to be able to support this, the growth or the transition which is going to happen in Asia. So we are well prepared, and we are targeting ourselves to equip ourselves to move and support in that direction.
Great, great. Okay. My last question. Which ASEAN market do you see holds the most potential for Black and Veatch, and why is that?
So there are several. Southeast Asia is, I mean, apart from the big giants, China and India, Southeast Asia has some countries which has very promising growth. If you look at the GDP growth, which was expected out of Indonesia, Philippines, Thailand, Vietnam, Malaysia, Myanmar opening up. So all these five, six countries hold huge potential and at different stages. So Philippines is going through a major transition towards not only having more renewable power, but also having more distributed energy because, they have a lot of islands. Same
Hmm.
challenges Indonesia is facing. Whereas if you look at Thailand, I think the industrial growth has been quite slow, and they are targeting some solid industrial growth. So as per their new energy or industry innovation plan, they are coming up with some new zones apart from the industrial zones that they have, and like the Eastern Economic Corridor and all this thing, which is taking time for development. So all this should open up new opportunities. Myanmar is another country to watch for because the country has huge demand for power, and now we are seeing suddenly a lot of renewed interest there.
Okay. Okay. Interesting, Narsingh. Look, overall, a very positive outlook. Thank you so much for taking a few minutes to chat to us today, sharing your insights and obviously your time. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you.
Thanks, Simon. The pleasure was mine, and look forward to meeting you in person soon.
Yes, hopefully not too long. Thank you.
Take care. Stay safe.